They can just teach Peck how to play defense, like in the movie Eddie. You guys remember that?
I think that they're going to have to teach Peck how to play 12 to 15 minutes a game and hope that if that's all he's playing, maybe he can play 60 games instead of 30.
Yeah, maybe Whoopi Goldberg could come in and coach, and Flip can go back upstairs. That was a good movie. That was very underrated.
Big dogs are in the house!
Hey! Get your 84 jerseys out, man. I think this is going to be a fun ride. Bye, Felicia.
Inside the lane, drive, layup, no good. Taunted by Parks! Oh my goodness! Where did he come from? A behind the back jam by the big team.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Practice like this. Up. We up. Straight cash, homie.
And boom goes the dynamite.
Clocks here are bullshit, so.
Home run! Welcome back, Lou Collins!
Welcome back to yet another, I guess Target Field standing room only tickets aren't going to be $4 in July like the last couple of years. Edition of Andy Must Die, Minnesota Sports Talk. Kinda. I'm your not-so-humble co-host at Andy Carlson Show on Twitter, riding shotgun, my partner in crime, a woman who is just finding out now that Matt Lawton is no longer on the Twins, at Di Murphy MN. Hey, Di, how's it going?
You know what? It's not that bad, okay? I mean, I might have written them off the last few years, but I actually do know, like, some stuff.
Christian Guzman. You go.
He was very good. He was very, very good.
He had a fantastic beard. We're on Twitter at Andy Must Die, all one word, website. As always, AndyMustDie.com. But it's not just the two for tonight. We got the three-pack. We're joined by Howard Sinker, digital editor, Star Tribune, Twins blogger as well, back again on the show. He's on Twitter at @AFansView. Hey, Howard. How's it going?
I'm really flattered to be a repeat guest like this. That means that I guess I didn't.
Well, we like you, Howard.
Okay. So, in other words, it's not based on competence, it's based on who you know. So I'm willing to accept that.
Well, it fit in very well with the Twins doing very well as Ray McDonald and you being the resident Bears apologist.
I'm not sure that the word apologist is really appropriate right now. And if I hear it again, you guys can go back to doing the show by your own selves.
Throwing down the gauntlet.
Whoa!
We're getting just a little feisty tonight, you know?
It's a little feisty. How are we fired up?
Your baseball team doesn't get to be 10 games over 500 just by letting them brush you back and knock you down. You got to come back swinging.
Oh, true that. We'll take that. Di, what have you been up to this week? Anything new?
Let's see. The long weekend was really long. I mean, the weather was crappy, so I spent time reading lots of books on my Kindle, and then I went and saw Mad Max.
How was that?
Insane. That's like I sat there at the end going, "What just happened?" And I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was just insane. That's the only word I can use to describe it is insane. And then we took the kids to see Tomorrowland, which was actually really good. And not just because, George Clooney's in it, because he's, very, very handsome man.
You didn't take the kids to Mad Max?
No, we did not.
No, but it's a strong female lead story, and that'd be such a good example for Mini-Me. Charlize Theron, come on. Is she speechless?
Yeah, maybe when she's 18, she can go see that. I mean, don't get me wrong. The character Fiorusa, I can't know if I can. It was amazing. She was phenomenal in that movie, just absolutely amazing. And she's an incredibly talented actress, but she chooses roles that are so different. And I mean, when she played the I can't remember the serial killer's name, the woman,
the one in Monster.
Howard was telling me. Yeah, and Howard was telling me about she was playing an Iron Ranger, and I mean, in a movie. So she's has a huge range, and she's just stunningly gorgeous. I mean, she's got a bionic arm, and her hair she has a buzz cut, and she's got dirty and she's still incredibly gorgeous. So she is my woman crush Wednesday. I'm just gonna say that right now.
And African American.
Not really. South African
technically.
American.
Oh, close enough. Howard, how would you spend your Memorial Day weekend?
I decided after a few weekends of running around and sort of operating nonstop between a college graduation and family stuff and a few other things, it really was time just to do very, very little. So hung out at the house, watched some baseball, did a little bit of family time, watched it rain, and pretty much watched it rain some more.
Oh, that sounds like a very wholesome.
It was very, very non-productive and very, very satisfying all at the same time.
Now, college graduation, are you done now with the tuition bills?
It feels kind of like the end of the Amazing Race, after 7 years and 3 colleges and 3 states and students traveling, studying in 4 different countries. We're done. They're all out. They're all on their own.
All my kids are going to Dakota County Community College.
No, they're not.
Probably not.
And we can always do the higher education segment sometime, Andy, but private schools, and 2 of our 3 youngsters went to private colleges, operate on a high tuition, high financial aid basis. Mm-hmm. So we got through this whole thing, without, I couldn't buy a new car every year, and I don't have season tickets in the Legends Club, but aim higher for your kids.
No, they'll all be McAllister Highlander grads.
I was going to say, if they come to McAllister, they take my class, I'll guarantee them at least a B-.
There you go.
Just showing up.
Fallback safety school could always be mom and pop's alma mater, Winona State, because that's also a place.
I've always thought of Winona State as kind of the lacrosse of Minnesota.
It's a lot of fun. You make a lot of good social ties and a lot of lifelong friends and networking connections. But yeah.
Remember that when you're 5 years out of college, nobody bothers to say, "Hey, where did you go to school?" And so you can get a good education, from the inside of a book of matches too. So, brand identity is highly overrated.
Now, see, I always thought, I love my time in college, but some of the classes that you're required to take, I thought, man, if you could just whittle this down, someone could learn more just on their own or like tutorials on YouTube in like a year as opposed to some 4-year education. Is that fair?
In some ways it is. That's the problem really with too many requirements at the expense of really exploring things that you might want to explore. And when I went to McAllister, we had so few requirements that I could get away with gaping holes in my higher education experience, and I don't really think that they hurt me all that much.
This segment of the Andy Must Die Higher Education is brought to you by Minnesota State Colleges and Universities. Visit mcscu.edu for more information. Di, where are your kids going? Do we lose Di again?
I have no idea.
Oh.
My husband graduated from the University of Minnesota, and I graduated from St. Thomas. So, land grant and private school, it's wherever they want to go.
Dartmouth it is. You always wanted to visit Vermont.
Little
Ben and Jerry's action.
Really. You can get Ben and Jerry's anywhere, so I'm going to say no.
Do they ship things?
You get Ben and Jerry's in the grocery store.
Fine. All right, we've already hit the rails.
Okay, now we're doing ice cream talk. This is great.
We're gonna have to shelve ice cream talk to the end because we're a little behind schedule. We got a lot to talk about tonight besides higher education. We got some time trivia. What's the topic for this evening that Howard and I are going to battle in wits, Ken Jennings style?
It's all over the place. It's trivia smorgasbord.
It's going to be the hot dish of trivia.
I've got some science, I've got some history, some entertainment, some sports.
Is one of the categories Anna Kendrick factoids?
Yes.
All right, fine. And wrapping up, our Twitter assignment for the week was, we asked you, the listeners out there on Twitter, what would you sum up the Adrian Peterson situation in a song? Hashtag Adrian Peterson songs. We got some good ones. We'll share some of our favorites and give a couple of our own. But right now, let's dive into
Minnesota sports news.
Sound drop goes here. Now, I've had to take into talking over the sound drop just to let Di know that I haven't died on the other end, because she gets worried. She worries about me, Howard.
I understand. That's because if you're gone, there's really, left to our own devices, just things probably just wouldn't work.
I agree.
You keep the trains running. You keep everything moving that's supposed to move, and that's one of the reasons that all I have to do is sit outside here on the deck and answer questions and try not to cuss.
There you go. I'm Chris Paul, the point guard, and you both are DeAndre.
I shoot free throws better than DeAndre. Thank you very much.
Nice.
Even without having touched a basketball in a dozen years.
All right, but starting off with baseball, hottest team in the state of Minnesota, the Minnesota Twins. Who knew? 28-18, 10 games over 500, and just wrapped up a sweep of the Red Sox. Hughes looked good today, and Perkins has been lights out as closer. So, Howard, as the resident Twins blogger amongst the three of us, how is my question?
Well, first of all, let me go back, and Phil Hughes was pretty ordinary today. He gave up 4 runs in 6 innings. He gave up 2 home runs to the Nick Punto-sized Dustin Pedroia, and basically he was bailed out by a team that by having his offense, come back every time he got into trouble. So Hughes is 4-4 this year, but his numbers really don't compare to last year at all at this point. So. And that's almost a good thing in the sense that I can't imagine him continuing to pitch like this for the rest of the season. I think it has to get better. And as long as the other guys in the rotation don't slip, and again, there's no guarantees that they won't. People right now are starting to talk about the postseason and the wild card race and everything. And as much fun as this has been so far, Andy and Diane, it's been a lot of fun. Let me remind you right now that there are still 116 games to play this season. And Major League Baseball is full of teams that can play well for a quarter of a season, a third of a season, or even half a season, and then have parts break down and the wheels fall off. So, it's fun, and it's exciting, and it's more interesting than what we expected. But am I going to pitch a tent for, and wait in line for playoff tickets right now? We're still a few months away from having that kind of conversation seriously.
Now, Di, your apathy for the recent Twins is very well known, but are you ready to have this team be more than just an excuse to go get nachos at the Legends Club?
Well, I am, and I guess the thing is, I wasn't expecting them. I'm not thinking playoffs. I'm not thinking wild card. I'm not thinking anything other than the fact that they're playing better than I really thought they would. Like a lot better, and I will take it. I will take whatever progress they make because it's going to be a progression. We know that there's these young players that are getting ready, to make their presence known or whatever. So it's just a matter of waiting it out, and thankfully they're going to put some, a decent product on the field. And I say decent, it's not fantastic, but at this point we'll take decent.
Yeah, and one of the things that's happening right now is it's a decent team with a guy managing it who probably is one of the smartest people in baseball. I know we were all skeptical about Paul Molitor because he had never managed before, but one of the things I knew about him coming into the whole managerial search is he was going to be smarter than anybody else who was a candidate for the job. The question is, how was he going to harness that? How was that going to manifest itself? And I think he's done some really, really good and interesting things. Sitting players for 2 or 3 days when things aren't going well, not as punishment, but as a way to give somebody else an opportunity and as a way to say, hey, kind of chill and, let's see what happens. It was a great move not to make Aaron Hicks the first minor league player who got called up when they needed an outfielder, when they brought up Eddie Rosario instead, because it sent a message to him that you're not coming up just because we need somebody. And Hicks is playing right now with a purpose that was really absent when he played for Ron Gardenhire. And I think that the image that people had of the Twins in the last few Gardenhire years was that there was you played because you were there, and now I think that Molitor and Terry Ryan have really instituted something that looks almost like a meritocracy. Kenneth Vargas wasn't doing what he needed to do, so he's in Rochester. Oswaldo Arcia had another nagging injury, and they said, okay, you're going to go on the disabled list, and when he comes back, where is he going to play?
Now, it kind of sounds like meritocracy, like you said, and going back to my forte, the Vikings, I feel like Zimmer has really installed that, where it's survival of the fittest, competition everywhere, as opposed to, I feel like, I love Gardy, but it did seem like there was a bit of a country club atmosphere going around, and I think that was that way with Leslie Frazier a bit too. Is that fair?
Well, I think they're different situations. I think Gardenhire got so frustrated with the front office when Terry Ryan was sick and his assistant Rob Antony was running things. There was conflict there over which players should make the team and who should be in the minors and who should be brought in, who should be released. Gardenhire started last season with some of the most ridiculous personnel choices that you could imagine. Bringing back Jason Bartlett, who had been a failure at shortstop for 4 years.
That was hilarious.
Jason Kubel, whose production had just slipped off the charts. And it just was like, okay, you're not going to let me have the players I want, so I'm just going to use these guys, and we'll all look silly together. And I think it was just a question of too many people in the same positions for too long a period of time, and stuff got incredibly stale. It's really hard when you've been doing the same job for years and years to maintain a fresh edge and to change with the times. And Ron Gardenhire and change agent will never be said in the same sentence.
A lot has been brought up about Molitor and his age. He's like similar age as Gardy. Do you think he's going to be in here for the long haul, or is he going to be a stepping stone towards Dyes Bay, BFF, Dougie?
You can manage it. I mean, he's, what is he? He's 58 or 59. He could manage 10 or 15 years if that's something he wanted to do. It's mental work, It's not like he's out there, it's not like he's got to play 150 games a year. He just has to manage 162 of them. And I think he's got a better coaching staff than Gardenhire had, in part because of the people he's hired, and in part because I think people who may not have had as big a voice before, and I'm talking specifically in this case about Tom Brunansky, the batting coach. I think he's got a much bigger voice in the way the team prepares for games, and that's just being a smart leader and listening to bringing in good people and listening to them.
Oh, wait, is Tom Bernansky the guy who had those hitting instructional videos?
No, that's the other guy. No.
Tom Emansky.
Yeah.
Oh, the ones with like the crime dog, Fred McGriff. That was fantastic.
Yeah, that was the token major league player endorsement for those.
All right, so Die, excited. On the Die Excite meter, which goes from like 2 to 9, 2 being the lowest, where are you at with the Twins right now?
I will admit that of the 4 major male professional teams in town, they're my 4th favorite. So
really, they're the 5th then behind the Lynx too. So okay.
Right, I'm definitely not saying that.
And the 6th behind the Gopher football team because they're professionals for all intents and purposes.
Right, professional male teams. It goes for me. The hierarchy is.
And they're 7th behind Minnesota United. Okay, we're there. Okay, we know.
I'm excited. I love Target Field. I love the Legends Club nachos. This time, going to the game will be more fun, and going for the nachos and the company isn't the only reason I'll be going to games. So I'm excited. I would say I'm about 6.5.
All right, now last question is to put a bow on the Twins, and Hicks is doing okay. Plouffe is doing okay as well, but the typical.
Wait. You just called Trevor Plouffe okay?
Yeah.
Trevor Plouffe is having the best year of his career.
I know it's minor league okay because
defense has improved.
I want to downplay it because I love Sano, and the typical Rube superficial question is, when are Sano and Buxton going to get up here?
Well, maybe not this year, which won't be a crime.
Right,
why would you bring them up right now?
So say Plouffe continues playing okay.
Wait. Let's start over again there, Andy.
Yeah.
I want you to say let's assume Plouffe continues playing as he is right now.
Yes.
Right. Say that, and then we'll go on.
All right. Let's say Plouffe continues to have one of the best seasons of his career, and he's stuck there at third base. Mauer's at first. When Sano comes up eventually, whether it's the end of this year or maybe next year, you can put him at DH.
No, I think he's an outfielder.
Oh, just toss him out.
I think he plays right field. I think he takes Torrey Hunter's position. He plays some right field. He might play some first base. He could DH. Let's assume you have Eddie Rosario, Byron Buxton, Miguel Sano. There are 3 guys, who make for a pretty good outfield, and Aaron Hicks, as good as he's playing right now, if Buxton is his defensive equal, and by all accounts he will or will become that, Aaron Hicks could become a very, very good 4th outfielder.
Oh, I like that idea.
Eddie Rosario, or he could play left field, and Eddie Rosario could be a guy who can play left field, right field, and any infield position.
Rosario, Buxton.
There are kinds of options here that don't involve feeding Trevor Plouffe to the dogs. But the other option you have is you could trade Plouffe if you were really intent in 2016 or whenever putting Sano at third base. If Plouffe plays like he is right now, he would be a very handsome trade target for another team.
I think the Yankees might need some help at third base in a couple years.
They could probably use help at third base right about now. But remember, it was A-Rod today who hit a 3-run homer to beat the Royals and let your Minnesota Twins into a first-place tie.
And I was talking last week when we had Dan Cook on that. I love how good A-Rod is doing because it's just completely trolling the Yankees, even though it's helping them. But I think it's just awesome.
Well, even in good times, the Yankees are a dysfunctional franchise for reasons, A to Z. So it's just one more goofy sideshow.
Speaking of a goofy sideshow, Vikings OTAs started on Tuesday. This is the first of 3 voluntary off-season training activities before the mandatory minicamp on June 16th through 18th. And the big story, because every single player, 90-man roster, All 88 of 89 players were present and accounted for, except what's this guy's name again?
I don't know. It's been so long since we've talked about him. I've forgotten.
Arnold Patterson. Adrian. So this week in Adrian breaking news, we should have another sound drop for that. The word retirement got thrown around mostly because sources close to Adrian and the situation, blah, blah, blah. But I love what Zimmer did today. Just came out, and on Adrian, he said, quote, he's got two choices. He can play for us or not play, and quote, boom, choke slam. And I love this mostly because I don't know if this is the company line, because, Spielman, ownership, front office have always been, we're welcoming him back, little kid gloves. No, this is different. They've thrown down the gauntlet and basically just gave Adrian an ultimatum. Di, we're going to start with you. I'm sure you got some choice words about it. What are your thoughts?
I hope he retires. I mean, because basically he's daring the Vikings to call his bluff, and they've done it this entire time. He has no leverage. He wants a bigger contract. He wants more money, and he's acting like a complete ass about it. And, people are like, well, I don't know why he lets Dogra, speak for him. Well, he's paying Dogra, okay? Dogra's the bad guy. AP gets to look like, hey, I just want to play. Whatever. He's completely alienated the fan base again. And now he's starting to alienate the coaching staff and maybe some of his teammates. Although I did see where Teddy came out and said that he would welcome him back with open arms, which what else is he going to say?
At some point, you're out here with all 88 of the 89 guys on the 90-man roster busting your butt out here at quote-unquote voluntary workouts. And at some point, you just got to be like, hey, we got a shot this year. Either you're with us or you're not. And I think patience eventually has to start wearing thin with some of these guys.
Well, I just think, what reason is he giving them to want to have him back? I mean, he's basically made it about him, not about the team, obviously. So I don't know. I wonder, I'm starting to wonder if that locker room culture is changing. Because before it was like, oh yeah, everybody wanted AP back, blah, blah, blah. And that was the company line. But, I got to think there are players that think this is a bunch of BS and they're kind of sick of the drama.
Howard, as a Bears fan, what is your take on Adrian?
Well, as a media member, I think that I'm pretty amused by the perception that he's overstayed his welcome with fans, because anytime you do any sort of, and I don't even want to call what we do on the website polling, because it's anything but scientific, but anytime you put something up to a popular vote, most people do want him back. It's just that the people who don't want him back, or who are getting tired or who are getting tired of the drama, or who wanted him cut loose last year because of the criminal charges against him, their voices are louder than those who would, if he could come back and be anything that resembled his form from before 2014, if he could gain 100 yards a game, catch a few passes, and morph from being the best two-down back in NFL history.
It's on his Hall of Fame plaque. I'm putting it on there.
I think people would welcome him back. I mean, really, for most people, it's can Adrian Peterson help the Vikings win? And the reality is, the longer he goes without playing, the less likely he is to help them as much as people would envision. And he's blown off OTAs before. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's always been kind of the Peterson rules and the rules for everyone else. And it's not like Zimmer and his coaching staff can exact a pound of flesh from him for missing something that, according to the union contract, is voluntary.
Yeah. And Howard, since you run things at StarTribune.com, you got to be loving all of this Adrian drama, because you got to think that a new Adrian article gets a lot more clicks than Ooh, let's see how Taylor Heineke did in 7-on-7s today at OTAs.
Oh, people love anything purple. We're all, we're all over Brandon Fusco. We love him. We love the new and improved Captain Munnerlin, who's vowing not to be what he was last year, whatever he was.
Captain Stanks.
Yeah. The Vikings, any kind of Vikings news drives websites, not only ours but other news and sports websites in this market, like pretty much nothing else.
And yeah, I do hope the Adrian mess does get solved eventually. I did start to think this week that I don't think it's really about the money anymore, even though we all think it is. Dogger's been inkling for a new contract, but if he shows up week 1, he's on the roster, he gets his $12.75 million guaranteed this year. Yes, there is no more guaranteed money in the contract, but he'll be the highest paid running back in the league by far for 1 year. The Vikings will probably cut him or trade him next offseason. That way he can have his freedom. So I actually think he is just all emo and butthurt that the Vikings didn't, quote unquote, have his back. And plus,
I think there are also people. I think there.
Di, what you got?
Well, for me, it was, and I don't disagree with that. I think some of it is, if this was his team, do you know what I mean? Like that he was the guy, and now there's so much talk about the defense. There's so much talk about Teddy. So I think his ego's bruised a little bit, and I think he is butthurt that he's not beloved here anymore. And Howard, I get what you're saying about that the people who are not happy with the latest or didn't want him back, after the criminal, charges or whatever, are more vocal. But I really do think a tide is turning. I think it's just been too much, and I think too many people are just kind of fed up.
Well, we'll see, come July, come training camp, come August, when they actually start playing games. I think that if he's perceived as being useful to the team, people will line up behind him. I just think that's the way fans are. It becomes a situation where maybe you don't wear the jersey, or maybe you don't give him the standing ovation, but if he can do things to help the team win that Matt Asiata can't do, then people are going to want him on the field. I really, really think that that's the case. And people can talk right now about how, I wish he was gone. I wish he was somewhere else. I wish this was over. But it's like, it's like voting for the socialist in the primary and then realizing what you've wrought in the general election and coming back to reality.
Yeah, I think Adrian, it'll be interesting to see if he shows up for mandatory minicamp on the 16th, because that's when they can start finding him. I mean, his workout bonus was $250K, which is a couple pennies to him if you show up for 90% of the OTAs, but he ain't coming. And I pointed this out earlier in the day. Barry Sanders abruptly retired in late July, right before the Lions were starting camp. It kind of threw their season into a spin. If Adrian truly is vengeful against the Vikings, and it's not really about the money, if he pulled a stunt like that, even the biggest Adrian zealots and supporters would have to lose their support for him, because that would be an absolute torpedo of a nuclear move.
Was that for Howard, or was that for me?
That's for everybody. Just throwing it out there. Just letting it fly.
I think they played last. I think they played last year without him, and I think they were prepared to play going forward without him. So I don't really think it's going to be a huge landmine for them.
Yeah, I don't think so either on the field, but the fans are just completely in his corner the entire time and tried to explain away his actions. And it was frankly a little sickening and grasping at straws and excuses, but that's another argument for another day. And even they would have to turn their back on Adrian if he pulled that stunt.
I'm going to turn this away from Adrian for a second, because one of the things that I'm really intrigued about with the Vikings is the cult of Bridgewater. And yeah, I think he had a good rookie year, and he's positioned to do well next year and in the years beyond. But I would invite you, when you have a spare few minutes, to go back and read some of what was written and said about Christian Ponder after his rookie year. And I don't want to be the one to make that comparison, because that's a really good way to lose friends among Viking fans. But there's still a long way to go before you can place Teddy Bridgewater among even the top half of NFL quarterbacks.
Okay, I need to respond to this.
And I will go so far to say as he's no Jay Cutler even at this
point.
No.
Whoa, shots fired.
No, thank goodness for that.
Right, exactly. Yep. So here's my thing on it. The thing I like about Teddy is that, yeah, he's gonna be in his sophomore season. He's a lot to learn. He's a lot of growing to do, but he does the right things. He studies he knows the playbook. He doesn't panic. He has that it thing that just makes you feel like he can lead a team. And I never, ever felt that way about Christian Ponder, not in a million years. So I'm not saying he's the second coming of, Peyton Manning, but I'm not going to say he at some point can't be. I'm just saying he's good. He's much better than we have a much better chance of getting anywhere with him than without him. Like if we had taken, that other guy, Johnny Manziel.
My assessment of players goes back to something I call the grandma factor. Just looking at a player, my grandma wasn't really that big into like in-depth statistics and stuff, but she could just look at a guy and then she'd be like, that guy can play, that guy can't play. She would have looked at Christian Ponder and be like, that guy can't play. She'd look at Teddy, be like, that guy can play. And I know like Royce and Barrero had like a week-long of programming about, well, the 2014 Vikings had better offensive stats than the 2013 Vikings. Either way, they were basically saying that Teddy wasn't as good as Ponder, Castle, Josh Freeman. But just the future of what Teddy can bring, the quiet leadership, the way he continues to learn, and the way he just crescendoed at the end of the season after kind of a rocky start brings a lot of hope to a team that hasn't had an in-house franchise quarterback since like Dante, kinda, Tommy Kramer, maybe. That's a long time.
I'll believe it when I see him perform well in a meaningful game against a team that also has aspirations of being pretty darn good. And I'll believe it the first time Mike Wallace only has 2 balls thrown at him during a game, and he doesn't complain afterward because he realizes that it won't do any good in the current environment. I just think that a certain amount of measured skepticism about the young quarterback may still be warranted.
All right. Last football tidbit before we throw it to break. I gotta bring it up.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
No, you have to.
Ray McDonald, he gone. And the defensive end was arrested yet again this weekend for domestic violence, and the Bears promptly released him. This was after several brushes with the law when he was in San Francisco. Domestic violence, sexual assault, eventually got dropped. Again, no formal charges, never convicted. But still, the Bears got a lot of heat for signing this guy who shown to be an habitual line stepper. Howard, a two-part question. What were your thoughts going in, and then also after when they cut him?
Well, my thoughts going in were if people did due diligence and wanted to give him a second chance with some expectations and with some consequences for messing up, then it's a risk worth taking. That's something that cuts across all workplaces, I think. And when he crossed the line one more time, he was gone quickly. So I think the situation was handled appropriately, and he was gone. He was released before whether or not to release him became an issue, which I think is to the Bears' credit. What they knew going into it, I don't know. But one of the downsides of the NFL turning itself into a 12-month-a-year operation through all of its sort of staged artificial activities is that you have very loud debates over things that wouldn't be debated loudly if the football season ran from July until February, like it pretty much should.
Your thoughts?
Honestly, they had to cut him. They didn't have a choice. And when I first saw what happened, I just kept thinking, either he's really stupid or he's just more proof of how professional athletes feel like rules don't apply to them. Like if they do something wrong, they aren't going to be held accountable. Or maybe it's a little bit of both. But I mean, it was good on the Bears for not even a heartbeat. It was like, you're done. My question was, and I posed this to Howard, with your DMs, would they have done the same thing had it been one of their superstars? Because Ray McDonald's not a superstar. I mean, he was going to be a starter, but he's not a superstar. And would that reaction, if it were a similar, like if it was an AP kind of guy, would they have done that? And I kind of think they probably wouldn't have. That's my personal feeling.
A good example would be like Des Bryant. He's been involved in a couple run-ins, including one where I think he actually hit his mom. Like if he got into a situation like Ray McDonald did, I would be interested to see what happened with Dallas if Des got into that spot.
Texas is different from the rest of the world. That's why I think people have felt like Dallas would be Peterson's logical landing place. I look at how the Vikings have treated Peterson. I think that there was not unanimity of thought within the organization, and I think even now there are some people within the Vikings organization who are quite happy that he has stepped away and is making noises about not coming back. I think that the differences of opinion within the Vikings organization probably mirrors what you would find on the streets.
Yeah, Texas loves Adrian. They're throwing him his annual parade in his hometown of Palestine on June 13th. He's going to be he's going to be on a float. How exciting is that, Di?
I don't really care.
All right. We ran a little over time, but that's okay. We got tons of great info in. We're going to take a little break, and we'll come back. We'll talk about the Lynx real quick, and then we'll die time trivia. We're going to test metal, a little battle of the minds between Howard and myself, as well as Adrian Peterson songs. We got a lot of good ones, and I got a couple more up my sleeves. But this is Andy Must Die with guest Howard Sinker and Cicadas and Jets. We'll be BRB. Purple for the Win podcast is dedicated to the pain and pleasure that is the Minnesota Vikings. Every single week, including the offseason, we will bring you the news, views, and mediocre insights of myself, Andy Carlson, at Andy Carlson Show on Twitter, that surround Zimmer, Teddy, that Hellfire defense, and all of the boys in purple that are actually with the team. We might even have a guest or two. Your writers, former players, coaches, everybody that can come in and completely just juxtapose my mediocre analysis, since I am just a jackass fan with a microphone. So hit us up, purpleftw.com, or get us on iTunes and Stitcher. Skol Vikings, don't lose the game. And coming back for segment two, we're just talking about Howard's ambient noise because he's sitting out in his backyard, as is every American's right, and it's kind of like the Masters in a way, because we heard a lawnmower earlier die, and we got some birds chirping and stuff in the back. It is. I feel like I'm in A-Man corner.
Well, after Memorial Day weekend, where you really couldn't go outside, Andy and I, I'm just compensating now.
Although I don't think Augusta has an airport next to it.
No.
Nope. Pretty sure no.
All right. We ran along in segment 1, but that's all good. Had a couple more Minnesota sports stories to touch on. Howard, you're a huge Lynx supporter as well, and it seems to be the only team in Minnesota that actually wins championships. So, how are the Lynx going to look this summer?
Good question. They played an exhibition game today in Washington, and they lost by 26 points.
That's a lot.
But
they
if you looked at the box score, nobody really played. So I think their opponents trying to take anything away from it is probably a false positive. They were taken a little bit by surprise, I think, when Janelle McCarville decided that she wasn't going to play. There are real questions about the player Asha Jones, who has come in to replace her. She was a star at the University of Connecticut, maybe a dozen years ago, but she's been injured, and even though she's played a little bit overseas, she hasn't played in the WNBA for the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. That's a that could be a liability. And the team really doesn't have any more depth than it had last year. So they're clearly one of the best teams in the league. I don't think there's any doubt about that, because they have a superstar, obviously, in Maya Moore, and a couple of stars in Lindsay Whalen and Simone Augustus. But as other teams get better, there are some questions about I wouldn't say that just because Phoenix is losing Diane Taurasi this year, for example, that the Lynx are the favorite to win the title. So they should be very, very good. Cheryl Reeve and Jim Peterson are very, very, very good coaches and will get the most out of what they have. But if I had spent the off season second guessing, I would have hoped that they would have found a couple of players to come off the bench, because depth has really been their main shortcoming.
Is Paul Westhead still the coach in Phoenix?
If you lined up all the WNBA coaches in a row, despite the fact that I do hold Lynx season tickets, I would not be able to name most of them.
Okay, I got you. Because I just remember the 30 for 30 that they did about Loyola Marymount, and he was the coach about their frenetic style play, and then he ended up winning a championship with the Mercury or something like that.
Yeah.
Die, on a scale of 2 to 9, the die scale, your excitement for the Lynx?
I'm a little concerned. I'm more excited about them than the Twins at this point, so I would say probably like a 7.5. But I just wanted to know from Howard, because it's no one has really talked about why Janelle McCarville is not playing, and I'm just kind of curious if you have any sort of instinct, and I'm not talking just like any information you might have that you can't share, but just like, what's your gut?
Well, I think that the Lynx were not real happy with her lack of conditioning last year, and I think they were hoping that whatever lectures they gave her at the end of the year said, hey, next year we really need you to do more, and in order for you to do more, you need to really come into the season in better shape than you're ending this season. I think that if that didn't happen, I could see that there was probably conflict brewing, and the easiest way for McCarville to avert that would be just to say, hey, I'm not going to play this year, and the Lynx were not going to try to twist her arm to get her to play. I do know that they spent part of the offseason. The Chicago Sky has a 6'6" center named Sylvia Folks, who is not, from what I understand, particularly happy in Chicago. And the Lynx did spend a good chunk of the offseason trying to work out a deal. But it was one of those things where, yeah, they'd like to make a trade, but they weren't going to offer any of their top 4 players. They basically, I think, were going to say to Chicago, look at the rest of our roster, and you can have our draft choices too. And that was the deal that I think Chicago could very easily refuse.
Just to interject here with some more Adrian news. We need that sound drop. Howard, your cohort and your best friend Matt Benzel just tweeted out. AP said he doesn't want to be traded and is trying to secure his future. Read between the lines there with the Vikings. So there's that.
Hey, you know what? I would just like to clarify that Matt Benzel and I were cool.
I don't even know what that means. No, I said best friend, like legitimately.
Oh, okay. Well, no, we're not best friends, but we're cool. You know, it means basically that he's, blowing more sunshine up people's asses because that's what he does. I'm just fed up.
Their strategy has changed so many times that it's pretty obvious that they're desperate in a no leverage, no win situation, but they're trying. Sorry, diverting back to the hardwood. I got 2 random questions to throw out there. So, Howard, Di and I are on Team Towns all the way for the number 1 pick for the Wolves. How about yourself?
I think that it's a win-win for the Wolves. I'm intrigued by Okafor because he is he's such an offensive force that I think he would make everybody else on the team better. I think that if the ball goes inside to him, guys like Rubio and Shabazz have a better chance of being even more productive offensive players. And then the challenge becomes, who do you bring in to be a defensive stopper? Who is the player that plays that role so your other 4 players can play functional defense, but basically play pro basketball the way the game is right now?
No, they can just
having a dominant inside player, I think frees up your perimeter game that much more.
They can just teach Peck how to play defense, like in the movie Eddie. You guys remember that?
I think that they're going to have to teach Peck how to play 12 to 15 minutes a game and hope that if that's all he's playing, maybe he can play 60 games instead of 30.
Yeah, maybe Whoopi Goldberg could come in and coach, and Flip can go back upstairs. That was a good movie. That was very underrated.
And I was going to say, I had someone on Twitter who played basketball and who was a rabid Wolves fan explain to me that, my attraction to Towns is his defense and his, he plays defense. He's a much better free throw shooter. But then I had people kind of go, take a look at what Coach K does, and it's not necessarily that he's that much better. It's just that Okafor is that bad at defense. It's just it's the system. And so I don't know, Howard, what do you think? I mean, to me, Okafor doesn't play a whole lot of defense, and his free throw shooting sucks.
These are, 19, 20, 21-year-old players. They're going to they're basketball savants. They're going to be good at anything they try to do. They're going to be, Karl Anthony Towns is a better defensive player right now, and probably always will be. But will he be that much better in 2 years and 5 years and 8 years to justify passing over an offensive superstar? I think if Flip had to make the choice tomorrow, he would take Okafor because Okafor lines up with the way that Flip Saunders wants to coach, and he'll be spending the next month listening to people perhaps try to talk him out of that.
Watch Flip will take
I really think if the draft was right after we're done tonight, with the first pick, the Minnesota Timberwolves would take Jahlil Okafor from Duke.
Watch Flip will take the European kid who can't even play for 4 years and just be a great time.
That's just good times. That's not happening. And
well, the bottom line is they can't really go wrong with either one. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not sure which one's a better fit, and that changes based on from year to year. I mean, obviously. So I'm excited. We got the number 1 pick. I mean, that's what we should really be excited about because, I was sitting there watching it and I was figuring for sure we were going to get like 4th. I mean, I just figured it's Minnesota. We don't have nice things. So I figured we were going to get screwed, and we actually got number 1. And so that's a reason to be excited.
Speaking of excited, it's time for some Die Time trivia. Play the sound.
Die time. You know you want it.
So Die prepared a slate of trivia questions because we're all from Minnesota. This is the land of standardized tests. And
Stop it right now.
Yes. All right, so Die, you got some trivia for Howard and myself, and it's going to be just like a battle royale. How do you want to run this?
I'm going to read the question, and then we will also alternate who answers first. So we will since Howard is the guest, he gets to answer the first question first, and then it'll be Andy's turn.
Do we get creativity points if we don't know the answer to the good one?
You know, I can be swayed.
Okay.
All right, now, Die, you made this the alternating route instead of just the buzz-in one because of your bad experience when Ted was on the show and you got smoked in trivia?
You know, I don't like you sometimes. I would like to go on record.
You know, well, I'm going to take 20 seconds here, maybe 30, and tell you a story about buzzing in. My oldest was in one of those destination imagination deals where you competed against other schools, and we were competing against some third-rate private school from the East Metro when he was in junior high, and our team had broken buzzers. We lost 210-5 because our kids' buzzers weren't working and their parents were doing the judging and weren't listening when our kids were saying, "Hey, our buzzers don't work, our buzzers don't work." And, you know, afterwards we just said, hey, you know, it was a life lesson.
Now, was their school mascot the Patriots?
No, there's no, but the parents all had slashed tires when they left the gym.
Oh, see,
the lesson that night was don't get mad, get even.
Yeah, the key to that is you have to have the blade in the shoe, so just in case there's like closed circuit, video recording in the parking lot, it'll just look like you're just walking around. Yeah. There you go. Remember that, Die. All right, so Die, let's do this.
All right. First question. How many gallons of beer are in a firkin?
Oh, stop it.
Come on.
Oh, stop it. 4.
And stop Googling, Andy. I can hear you right now.
I don't have a keyboard.
What's your answer?
Oh, who's the question for?
You have to answer it too. You both have to answer.
Oh, okay. So I went first, but.
Oh, I'll say 8.
Do we do the answers now?
Yeah.
The answer was 9. Andy was closest.
Closest. Right. You either know it or you don't.
All right. Question number 2. Andy gets to answer first. What is Canada's national animal?
Moose.
Howard?
It's the bear, eh?
God. I must have picked too hard of questions.
We're both wrong?
The answer is the beaver.
Oh, that makes sense. Oh, the damn pelts.
All right.
I wonder if Stacy even knows that.
I'm going to ask her when we're done here. Okay, so Howard's turn. In which Dickens novel was Miss Havisham jilted on her wedding day?
Gosh. I think it was really the John Hassler novel, North of Hope.
Okay.
Was it said Dickens?
It was Dickens.
Great Expectations.
Andy got it.
It's perfect. I only know that because I saw the movie, the one with Ethan Hawke.
Oh, see, you know what?
Gwyneth Paltrow.
And I didn't see that. Probably 1, because I knew it would be bad, and 2, because it had Gwyneth Paltrow in it. All right. Number 4.
Bing.
Andy,
board.
You're first.
Yep.
How many years did Nelson Mandela spend in prison?
20. No. Yeah, sure. 21.
Howard?
I think we're closer to 29 here.
27. So the point goes to Howard.
Right. See, that I had the nearest prime number.
He went over though.
It's okay. This isn't
the Price is Right.
Right.
1 year, Bob.
This isn't The Price is Right. All right, Howard.
Yo.
The first World Cup for soccer, otherwise known as football, was held in which country in 1930?
Oh, that would have been England, I think.
Uruguay.
Andy's right.
Oh, that reeks of a setup. There.
Now I know.
No. He did not have these questions.
I know very little about the kickball, the very corrupt kickball that they're talking about. But for some reason, I like looking up locations of like World Cups and Olympics, and that just stood out.
All right, who's next or who's first?
Me.
Andy. Okay. How many times was Julius Caesar stabbed?
27.
Howard.
I think Andy is right.
You're gonna go with 27. You can't really go over on. Come on, Howard.
Oh well, no. I'm. Yeah, it's like the Ryder Cup. It's like match play golf. I'm conceding the question because I think he's right.
Okay, well you're both wrong.
Ah.
It was 23.
Ah, close enough. Only the stab in the heart killed him.
It was close.
Brutus stabbed him in the groin.
Oh, come on now.
His possible illegitimate son. But, yeah. Anyways, proceed.
Thank you. Can we move on now?
E2, Brute. E2, die. E2.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Hydrogen is the first element on the periodic table. What is the second?
Oh, wow. Nitrous.
Helium?
It is helium.
Hey, baby.
God, you weren't wrong. You actually are really good at trivia.
I'm playing my role here. You know, I lost to Die last time. Now I'm losing to you.
Now, see, I'm that annoying guy if there's like BuzzFeed trivia at the bar who will demand that we get one of the player things and then play. And
we do that too. Yeah, I've got a B-dub screen name.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's just that Die's asking the wrong questions.
You know what, Howard? I was mostly trying to get Andy because he was bragging about his trivia, prowess. I'm conceding. He actually is kind of legit.
Good.
The wife actually says I'm the king of useless knowledge crammed in the head.
You know, my husband is a close second. Then he must be like an earl or something because he's right up there. All right, who's first? Andy?
I think I know. I just agreed with Andy on that last one.
Okay. Yep. So, Howard, what is nomophobia?
It's a fear of having your garden gnome turn into Ron Gardenhire while you're sleeping.
Okay, Andy.
I'm gonna go with was it nomophobia?
Yep.
I'm gonna go fear of the late '90s, early 2000s Red Sox. Nomophobia.
Neither one of you were correct, but I am going to award the points to Howard because that was a very original answer.
Oh, I liked Andy's though. I think that I think we would probably be the champions of distraction trivia.
Di, don't pretend that Nomar isn't wicked awesome.
It's wicked smart.
That's very apropos for this past series.
Yes, I get it. All right. So, do you know the answer?
Sure.
Fear of being without your cell phone. Nomophobia? Nomophobia? It's a real thing. It seriously is. I personally have it.
I kind of, the days when I leave it at home by mistake, I kind of relish the fact that I'm unconnected from that part of the world for 6 or 7 hours.
I damn near have a panic attack.
Well, why? Everyone just needs to go back to flip phones.
No.
And texting on like the 9-button keypad. I need to press 6 3 times.
When people were like first starting texting, I'm like, why would I want to do that? Like, what is the point? Like, can't you just call a person? And now it's like I never talk to anybody on the phone. It's always text.
That's probably how you communicate with your kids half the time.
No, because neither one of them have cell phones.
Oh, I like you as a parent. Lay down the law.
Yep. All right, number 10. Andy's first. What is the capital of Colombia?
Caracas.
Bogota.
Howard is correct. It is Bogota.
Dang it.
Hello?
All right.
You know, if I knew the answer to it, so like there was no pace to my game there. That was like coming to the net and hitting an overhead smash.
Is Caracas even in Columbus?
I wasn't going. I was really trying to cover for you by answering quickly there, Andy.
That's okay.
I am very bad at geography, so I'm not even going to judge. Okay, number 11 goes to Howard, right? You're first. Mm. What do we use our strongest muscles for?
That's kind of a universal thing, eh?
Human beings.
As human beings. I really would say walking, running, and any kind of transport involving the lower body.
I guess I'll say standing, too.
You're out in the wrong end of the body. It is actually chewing.
Oh. Lame.
That's just because you couldn't get it right.
That's just a dumb question.
Howard Zinker.
Andy and I were both right.
I was going to say that the muscles have to be strong for eating Di's cooking, except I would never say that because she is a phenomenal cook and I would like to be invited to her place someday.
Well, you might just be invited to my place someday.
Boom. There you go.
All right, last question. You ready?
Yep.
Andy's first. What Cheers actor was in The Empire Strikes Back?
Oh. So it's a Star Wars movie. It's not Woody. It's not, I don't know, George Wendt.
Howard?
You know, once again, as I was spinning through my Cheers cast knowledge, I landed on George Wendt too. So we're either united in victory or united in defeat.
Well, that would be defeat then, because it was John Ratzenberger. It was Cliff.
Hello?
Oh, dang it. I was going to guess the other one. What was Cliff?
I don't know. I didn't see what his character was. He probably was like some, nameless person that was like on the screen for 10 seconds.
Oh, that's so random, though. The movie would have been way better with Woody. It was a good question. I applaud you. What was the final score?
It was, I can't award points for the last one because neither one of you got it. So, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to Andy, and 1, 2, 3 to Howard.
Wait, we were keeping score? I thought we were all going to get participation awards and popsicles when we were done.
Well, not when you said that my question was dumb.
Yeah, that cost you. That was a 3-point deduction right there.
Yeah, I guess. Okay. That's like whining at the team parent for bringing the wrong snack after the game. So
I will say this though, if you return your library books really fast, I'm giving a popsicle party to the class that gets their library books turned in the fastest. So still have a shot at that.
That means they won't read them then.
But then they're going to get popsicle sticky gunk all over the books.
No, the books come back first. And then I see which class returned them the fastest. Then they get the popsicle party.
But where do they get the popsicles?
I buy them.
I know, but where? In the library?
Oh, no, out in the garden.
Out in the garden.
Never in the library, please. No.
Okay.
You better get bomb pops and creamsicles. Because, the assortment pack is good in theory, except then you just end up with bananas and root beers.
No, you get the orange cherry grape assortment pack.
Nobody likes orange popsicles.
Oh, my kid does. Maddie does. Mini-Me does. But they can trade. I tell them you get what you get and you don't have a fit. Because if they come up to me and say, I want cherry or grape or whatever, I say, too bad. You get what I hand you and you'll like it, or you can trade if someone will trade with you.
You should be Ben Dogra. Or you should have been Ben Dogra's librarian.
I am way too smart to work for that man.
All right. Well, I wish I had the applause button up on my soundboard, but I don't. So I just need to pat myself on the back. Howard, you were a fantastic foe, and you smoked me on the Columbia question.
Well, yeah, thanks. It was an honor to play. It was an honor to participate. It's like something. It's whatever the Olympic creed says about participation as opposed to victory. I believe it for this.
And not everyone gets a medal. This is Thunderdome.
Okay.
All right, and Di, that was fantastic. You came up with some good questions. Now, how long did that take you? What was your whole inspiration?
I was just trying to find. I mean, I didn't want it to make it impossible, like some weird formula in science or something, but just enough to give you a run for your money, because you kind of threw it out there like you were, a trivia god. And so I just kind of needed to humble you just a little bit. But I will say I was impressed. You did pretty well.
Oh, thank you, baby. Speaking of run for your money, that's a very smooth segue into our last topic of Adrian Peterson songs. He may not be run for his money this year, but we put it out to you good folks on Twitter, and you came back with some fantastic ones. I want to read. We got so many, but I pared it down to a list of what I think is the most apropos. First one is from Andy Welter. We got the standard Bye, Bye, Bye from NSYNC. Got a lot of those. That's pretty good, right?
No, I liked it. And I love that song. So there you go.
We'll have to talk about that's another whole another episode. We also got a lot of Iman's Don't Want You Back. It's got some colorful language in it. I think it fits. Also, so speaking of colorful language, CeeLo's F You, Forget You.
Or Forget You, but not the Forget You version.
Yeah, got quite a few of those in the box. A couple other ones, Jonathan Judich, Thin Lizzy's Don't Believe a Word. Not really familiar with that song.
I am not either.
I think it makes sense. Tommy Gunn put in Toxic by Britney Spears. Hello.
That is definitely toxic.
CC put in a Too Soon one. He went Whip It by Devo.
Oh.
That's too far.
There are a few on here that are just better off left unresponded to, and that was definitely, yeah.
All right, now we have some controversy on this one because I give credit to Jason, Mad City Viking, on this, but Di says that she's the one who put in
and I went
Motley Crue's.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I went back and looked, and he didn't say it anywhere on there. I looked up the hashtag.
I think he might have responded to the tweet.
Okay, well then then I get credit, but go ahead and tell them my brilliant song.
Motley Crue, Don't Go Away, Mad, Just Go Away.
Yeah.
Or how about Shout at the Devil? And Dogger can be the devil.
That's good.
Cindy H, Loser by Beck. That was a stinky great one.
I love that one.
Yeah. Justin Jelnick put in Air Supply, I'm All Out of Love. So Lost Without You.
Aww.
Stacy put in Beat It by Michael Jackson. A couple of those.
That could be kind of two ways.
Yeah. I didn't even think of the double entendre.
Yeah, that could be a double-edged sword right there.
And Kelly Kirby put in B, Better Have My Money by Rihanna, which is that really a song?
I have no idea.
Might be.
But you have to say yours because I loved yours.
Mine is, speaking of favorite music, Taylor Swift, my girl, T. Sweezy. We Are Never Getting Back Together. I think that was pretty good.
That was good.
That's good. Howard, do you have any suggestions for the Adrian Peterson
I was trying to think of something that much like Stacy's could be interpreted any way you wanted it to be, and my choice for this would be the Sinead O'Connor song "Nothing Compares to You." Because nothing compares to you. Get the hell out of here. Which is really, and it is a breakup song. So, but it covers the waterfront of good and bad.
I can eat my dinner in a fancy restaurant, and then Ben Dogger can come yell at Rob Brzezinski at the restaurant.
I just again, it goes back to the point I made earlier. I think many people are of such mixed minds where they're going to say one thing and can easily be influenced at the first 73-yard touchdown run against the Bears.
Now, did Prince sing that song first and then Sinead cover it, or is that the other way around?
I believe he wrote it for her.
He wrote it for her, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool. Were they a thing, or was it just a professional?
He's...
could have been. He wrote Sugar Walls for Sheena Easton, and I know they were a thing, so.
Yeah. Well, I guess you learn something new every day. But that was the Adrian Peterson Songs Jukebox. A lot of fantastic submissions, a lot of double entendres, maybe a couple that are a little too soon, but but we're wrapping up. Di, anything exciting for you this week?
Just counting the days till the end of school.
What's the magic number?
Well, let's see. There's Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. 6 days, because I don't work Wednesdays. So 6 days. Although tomorrow night is the night that Miss LaToya and I have to sleep on the roof of the school. So
LaToya Jackson?
There is that.
Works at your school?
No, that's my friend LaToya.
Oh.
She's our family liaison. The kids had we challenged the kids to turn out for family reading night. Last year we had 120 people, and so this year we told them if we had 200, we would sleep on the roof of the school, and we had 354 people show up.
Oh.
Because apparently they don't like me and they want me to have to sleep in a tent and be dirty and gross.
Yeah, Howard, she brought this up last week, and I said it's going to be like The Hangover. She's going to be Doug.
I just kind of, I just would think that somebody's going to order pizza and have it sent up to the roof. I think you're going to live pretty good up there.
Oh, Di, it's going to be like Breaking Bad when he threw the pizza onto the roof.
No, I watched exactly 2 episodes of Breaking Bad and could not do it. I don't get the reference.
You're like the only white person in the world who has not seen Breaking Bad, like all the way through.
That's okay. I have watched Sons of Anarchy, though, from start to finish, so I'm good.
R.I.P. Jax. Howard, how about yourself? What's new and different coming up from you, Star Tribune, etc.?
I'm just, putting one foot ahead of the other. Might watch a baseball game or two this weekend. I like going out and seeing them play the Blue Jays because I do know all the words to "O Canada." And every now and then I break into the Quebec separatist ending, if I feel like it, if I'm feeling especially giddy. But I really like the dual anthems, and "O Canada's just, one of the best.
Was it the movie Canadian Bacon where John Candy is like sitting through the Canadian national anthem and he says, I know one thing, the beer sucks. And they completely cut off the anthem, and then they start a riot.
Well, and totally justified. The beer might not be the best, but you should never criticize another nation's alcohol. That's just bad form.
It's all
John Candy, as they say on Memorial Day, paid the ultimate price.
Oh. That one might be a little too soon.
Too soon.
All right. Howard, thank you for coming on. As always, you can follow him on Twitter at @fansview and catch all of his twin bloggings and other stuff at StarTribune.com. But, Di, right here. Follow us on Twitter at @AndyMustDie. Subscribe, rate us on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, all the other various media outlets. Good stuff. The website, as always, AndyMustDie.com. But I'm Andy Carlson, and she is
Di Murphy.
What's her middle name?
I'm not going to tell you.
What's your social security number?
I'm not going to tell you.
Come on, girl. All right. Thanks for listening. Have an awesome week. And now, the ending piece of advice is with the ribs, is that you got to baste them, except take a little salt out of the baste because that's going to reduce down. And if you just have it salty to taste at the beginning, it's just going to be a complete salt lick. So water down your sauce a little bit. That's the advice. All right, we're out of here. See you next week.
The music was created and produced by Deeb. To hear more of his tracks, check out soundcloud.com/Deeb.
We needed to get this right.